Hey everybody, thanks for coming back. This is video 4, working on this particular piece. Today, after taping the sides, I am going to be resining this particular beauty. I'll let you guys get a really good look at it. There's some beautiful golds in there. I used opal from Jacquard as well. And so I've had a couple of questions from my last video. The first thing that I want to talk about is I had mentioned in my video that I wasn't exactly happy that this black piece didn't go all the way to the end. Now that is probably, that's just the nature of doing these abstract random lines. When I was gluing this piece to this board, I probably could have turned everything a little bit to take this piece off, but it was pretty stuck and shifting it was really hard and it wasn't worth it to me. I thought it looks fine. The pink that I was looking for, that was the line that I wanted to be pretty central, and it's good, So what I did do in this instance was I left it, but then I actually put my signature at the end, and really from afar you don't notice that black piece. So I'm going to leave it. What I have done in the past, and this question was from Nene, what I have done in the past is I have used a gold, like gilding. So this piece has already been resin, so you can see my light shining in there. But this is a gold, it's actually a multicolored gold fleck or gilding with gold leaf. And I have another one here. I feel like these two match each other, so I put a little bit through the middle of that one as well, just to give it so that it looks like, give it a similarity, so it looks similar. Now I could do that with this, but I wouldn't because I don't want it to go all the way along the corner. It's totally not that important to me. I just wanted to show you, this is where I keep my gold leaf once I've been using it, just to keep it safe in there. And I save as much as I can. I brush it back into the jar. Oh, there we go. And I have used Martha Stewart's gilding adhesive. Another thing that I've used before, and you could do this, is taking one of these a Krylon pen. This is the copper leafing pen. Come on, focus. Yeah, there we go. You get these in gold and silver and copper, probably bronze now too. I can't remember. There's a couple different colors. And you could do all kinds of different techniques in adding details to your art. And that's really just got to be up to you. Another question that Nene had, and I'm just going to bring you over here. Another question Nene had, I think this is what she means. So she's saying she's laying down pieces, and then she's using a cutting tool and trying to be very precise. But even when you're being your most precise and you're gluing your pieces super close, you could still end up with slivers of color that are not exactly the same thickness. And so I'll show you even here. This is not, that piece is not supposed to be there. It's really forgiving because I have so many different colors here. It really doesn't matter. Let's see if we can get an edge here. In my particular case, it doesn't matter. If you're really super particular, it might really matter to you. I'm trying to get in here. See, you can see where I haven't actually glued it right to the edge. And if you're off by a fraction, by the time you get to the end, such like this, if you're off even a fraction, you're gonna start having them not match up. And that is just okay for me. And I just average it out over the long haul, So I just don't get too worried about it. once you get the resin on there, the color of the beauty of the alcohol inks is really distracting to the eye anyways. So you wouldn't see, like, I don't think you're going to see these little gaps. Once I resin this, I don't think you're going to see it. I haven't quite resined this yet. I mean, resin amplifies some things and it camouflages others. So, like, this has quite a little gap, right? Where's my finger? Right here. So you have to be really particular with your gluing. All right, so I hope that answers your question. Let's go over here. We're coming back over here now. So I've got a couple of things. Oh, and one other thing, Nene, I was just going to say, I've used, like this one here, I did a collage, and I just took extra pieces and laid them. There were some flaws, and I didn't want to throw it away. So I just stuck some pieces of paper in there, just to give it a little different look. And see. But from afar, you don't really notice it. So I think you just got to be a little more gracious with yourself. Okay, so I'm going to resin this, and from start to finish, I want to talk about the cups that I use. I have different kinds of cups. I've gone to the dollar store and gotten the Kogan cups. I also have been to Costco and gotten the Kirkland cups. We've got 1 ounce cups. We've got 3 ounce cups. I go and get 12 ounce cups. These ones are also 12. These are 12 ounce. How are these 12 ounce and these are 12 ounce? Can you answer me that? Do you believe them? I don't believe them. Let me see. I guess that could be a 12 ounce cup. I use these little mini cups, these 1 ouncers, and I put them underneath this. Where are we? Yeah, I used it to level. I'm going to put that back down. And you can see my little level dot is right in the middle. And this level dot is right in the middle. I'm going to turn it. Leveled. Almost leveled. Leveled. Now this is just my first coat. So I'm not gonna worry about it being perfect, because I'm gonna do 2 to 3 layers. These have all had 3 layers. And you can see the doming effect, which is really quite nice. But I think that it's easier to get a nice dome, and you can do less coats of art resin if you don't have it collaged. For example, this one had those little pieces of paper in there, and I had to do a couple of extra coats just to get it nice and smooth. Okay. So I have already pre-leveled. I have already actually pre-poured my resin, and I just took little cups and put them over top. So I've got resin and hardener. I'm going to pause. I actually can't stop because I'm just recording. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around, and actually I'm going to hang it. Hopefully nothing really bad happens when I do this. Ooh. Oh man. Sorry everybody. Okay, we're good. So I'm going to take this cup. Oh, and I was going to tell you guys, can you see it? You can see it. Okay, in this corner, so this piece is 24 by 8. I went to the Art Resin website. I used their calculator, and I did their calculations. They say I need 7 ounces, but that's 50% resin and 50% hardener. So that is 2.5 ounces of resin and 2.5 ounces of hardener mixed together to get a total of 7 ounces of resin. Make sense? Clear? So let's do this. I am going to go back over here and grab my cups. I also have a popsicle stick. So pouring them together, and we're going to stir them. So I'm just going to take this one away for a second. Now these little cups, you have to be careful that you don't get little plastic cups that are lined with wax, because if you get the ones that are lined with wax, all of that wax is going to get into your resin. That will be bad. So make sure it's either 100% plastic or non-waxed cups. And I scrape out these cups at the very beginning. I always scrape the edges when I am doing the initial mix. We want to get all of the resin out because you want to have exactly the same amount of each. That's why we went to the trouble of measuring it. Okay, so I already knew how much these cups held, and I'm going on the lighter side. So these cups are each 3 ounces each. I am not worried about this ½ ounce because when they do the measurings of these cups, they're actually a little lower. So you'll see. I'm just going to put that away. Now we're going to stir this for 3 minutes. Chris, are you home? No. Sometimes my husband will just do the timer for me. So I'm just going to count to 200. 1, 2. So scrape the sides, scrape the sides, scrape the sides, scrape the bottom, go along the bottom, stirring, stirring, stirring. Do a figure 8 inside the cup, stir and scrape, stir and scrape. So you're scraping all along the side. You can even scrape down your stick. Then again, scrape around the sides. You want to thoroughly mix this, and you can see the difference when it's ready. It gets a little, like right now it's a bit yellowy, not yellow, but like milky. There's lots of bubbles. I'm actually adding a little bit of air there. It's okay because I'm going to pop all of those bubbles. I'm just guessing at my time, but you need to stir this for 3 whole minutes. I wish I could pause this for you. I would just double tap to the side and skip past this if you're not interested in watching it. I'm just giving it I like to pick it up and drip it. Stir, 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 both directions. Scrape the bottom of your cup. Like be a really good stirrer. Stir as much as possible. I've also got everything ready for when this is all done and it's all poured. I've got off to the side, I have something to cover so the dust stays out. I've got cups set aside here so that I can use them as a, well, I'll show you when we get there, but it holds the cover up away from the tabletop. Also, I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff too because I don't want the resin to drip off of the edges and touch anything and damage anything. Oh, and shoot. Nene, I was also going to say, you know, for those of you that listened to the last video, if you have resin that pours down the side and it gets underneath of your tape, that was another thing. What I've done in the past, I don't want to touch anything here. This one, I sprayed the sides with gold because the resin was, once you get resin on the wood, you can't stain it evenly. So that's another option for things that don't work out perfectly. You could always paint the sides, and that one there is gold. I've done black and I've done white before. Okay, I feel like my hand is about to fall off, and that's usually a really good sign that it has been over 2 minutes. Oh, shaking my hand. Gonna give it a couple more stirs. Okay, so I think that that's pretty close. And the color is a bit different now. It's less milky, and it feels like it stirs really good. I don't know, there's just a sense that you get that it's done. And the fact that your hand is about ready to fall off, you can kind of tell then that it's done. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pour it. I'm just helping it a little bit with my stick because I trust myself that I did a really good job of scraping. The sides. I want to make sure that I get it all out. But I'm not going to go around and like scrape the sides just in case some resin was not mixed properly with the hardener. So I'm just going to take that, put it aside. And then I'm just going to flip all that off because I don't want it there. I'm just getting this stuff ready. There, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Now I've got a couple of different spatulas. I've got a fork. I have our trusty one from last time where I used the pinking shears along the sides. I am going to use the spatula. And we're just going to spread it to the corners. Now, a silicone spatula the resin will not stick to it. You just have to spray it down with some rubbing alcohol and it will clean up really nice. You just can't let it harden. So I'm going to just take this and push it right to the edge as close as I can. I'm not going to get too worried about it right now. I'm just going as close as I can. I don't want to waste any of this because I have just exactly enough. So we're going to get as close to those sides as we can. Whoa, don't get too close. Then a nice trick that I have seen people use is the fork to get it really close to the edge without having it go over. Have you ever tried to fill up a cup of water like as full as you possibly can without it going over the side? That's the idea that I use when I'm pouring resin onto my art. I want to get it as close to full as possible without letting it go over. And that really helps me to get that dome. So I want you to, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go to your kitchen and one drop at a time, fill it up as high as you can. And then one drop at a time, you try and fill up that cup without any water leaving it. You'll be amazed at how many extra drops of water you can get in that cup. So that's the idea. You're trying to get it as close to the edge as you can without going over. Once that water in that cup gets so full it goes over the edge, then you can't stop it from running over the edge. But if you can just get it to the side, you will be surprised at how it will hold back. Oop. Yep, it's looking pretty good. You got to use your light source to see the reflection, to make sure you're getting it right to the edge. And this is going to be a very successful pour. I am really excited about this. I have exactly enough resin. I have gone from corner to corner. and it was just under the amount that the art resin calculator told me I needed. So rather than the 3.5 ounces, I did 3, but right to the top, because I feel like those cup manufacturers always give you a little bit of room at the top because no one expects you to fill it right to the top. So then I'm just going to take my finger and go along the edges. I don't think any has gone over the edge at all. Okay, I'm going to just set this aside. We're going to take this mini cooking torch, and I have already pre-filled it with the butane fuel. It just goes in the bottom. I'll show you, demo it. So you just put it in that hole there, and you would do it for 10 seconds. And then you ideally would want to leave it upright for a few minutes as well, like say 30 seconds to a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn it on and then press the button, and there we go. We're going to pop the bubbles. I'm going to do a couple of passes. And then I'll take the phone down and I'll get you a close-up. I'm always so surprised at the bubbles that I find. Now, yes, I stirred my resin pretty vigorously, and I did add a lot of air to it when I was stirring it. So that is my own fault that I have so many bubbles in here. But I really like to make sure that it's mixed. So I'm still catching a glimpse of some bubbles. So I'm just going to put this down. I'm going to remove one of my gloves. Take this phone down so that you can really see it. So you can see along the edge, you see the light right by my finger. I've got it really close to that edge without going over. Nice and smooth. Ooh. So right there, can I do it without seeing? Yep. There, see? Smooth it right out with my finger, just touching it. And again, there we go. Looks smooth. Yep. I'm pretty happy with that dome. Doesn't look like it's going to break the surface of the water or the bubble. Feel like this one could get a little bit closer. Yeah, I got to check this side. It's a little bit not bubbled, but I'm honestly gonna do 2 coats anyways. So, I mean, it's so small. Whoops. So small of a detail. See how I just smoothed it? And look at that gold in there. So amazing under the resin. Bet you didn't see all those details the first time. It's just like lights shining from underneath there. Okay, so I am going to triple check that there are no bubbles, and there is some. I wonder if I can do this one-handed. Watch this. Turn the gas on. Whoops, turn the thing, and then give it a, yes, one-handed. Let's see here. Some bubbles right here. See how they pop? I hope you can see that. I can't do it. I can't look in the camera and watch the bubbles, so I really don't want to leave any bubbles. I want it as clear as possible. But I don't want to cook it either. I got to be really careful not to put too much heat on it. So after a few seconds, typically I find that after a few minutes I can go back in and give it one more pass with the torch and pop more bubbles and then cover it, and it's good to go. But bubbles will come up from underneath. It happens all the time. But to get the best, most clear resin, you really need to go over those pieces, go over that resin and really pop all those bubbles. So that's that. So we're gonna line up our cups, cup, and then I have this Rubbermaid, oh don't mind my mess, I have this old Rubbermaid top. I'm going to line it up with those cups, and then voila, that's it. We now leave this. I'm gonna leave it for about a half an hour. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna retorch those bubbles. I'm gonna check for any dust or debris, and I'm gonna make sure that that's out. Then I'm gonna leave it for about 12 hours. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna peel off that tape. And then I'm gonna leave it for another 12 hours until it's completely hard. If there's any problems with the sides, I'm gonna clean those up before it's had the full 48-hour cure, because if it's too hard, it's like glass. You can't cut it. It's really hard to clean up those sides. But if it's looking good, I won't actually do a second coat. If it does need a second coat, I'm gonna pour it at about the 12-hour mark. I do know that you can pour probably at a 4 or 6 hour mark. If I want to do another one right away, I'm not going to do that. I don't have time this weekend, so I'm going to leave it, and I will probably do it. I would give everything a light sand and then give it a second coat at some point in the future. So anyways, I hope that helps with some resin confidence. And if you have any more questions, please make a comment. Please, if you like this video, subscribe and hit the bell, and you will see the next videos that I put out. I was like, ugh, I probably shouldn't show you guys my dirty art room. All right, so the next project that I'm resining is this, and I better get at it. So I gotta go. Talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend. Bye.